A UK startup has produced a saliva-based COVID testing kit which claims to deliver accurate results in 15 minutes. The company, Vatic, says it's part of a shift towards businesses rather than governments taking responsibility for testing. And they've just raised $6.4 million to scale the technology worldwide. I asked CEO Sheppard how it works.
It's an infectiousness test. What's really different about it is that it's essentially leveraging the cell entry mechanism of the virus, and this is how it reproduces in our system. And in so doing, we're only picking up virus in our test that is infectious, that is capable of cell entry, and we don't pick up those versions of the virus which are no longer have been disabled by the immune system. And what this actually means is we're troubled at the moment with tests that have, variable accuracy, particularly in terms of false positives. So when tests are deployed at enormous scale, even a 0.3 or 0.5% false positive rate can be extraordinarily problematic when people are getting falsely identified as having the disease. All their close contacts might have to self-isolate as a result. Our test is much more specific.
What you're doing is taking the lab to the patient with tests like these. But let's face it, they're not really a pleasant experience to self-administer. They can be a bit tricky. So what are you doing to take the pain out of mass testing?
Well, that's right. I mean, we've seen that a lot of the swabbing that's deployed, particularly with the NHS tests at the moment, where it's, kind of deep nasal and back of tonsil swabbing, is actually incredibly uncomfortable, and especially if you're encouraged to test regularly, as given how high disease prevalence, for example, in the UK is. So the way that we collect the sample with this test is it's a saliva swab, so it's much more like brushing your teeth in the morning. I mean, it's so easy to forget that a toothbrush is a medical device at the end of the day, but one that's so incredibly normalised in the public consciousness. And this is what it's like to collect the sample with our test. So it's essentially using a swab, scraping your mouth, almost like brushing your teeth, and collecting the sample from that, and letting the really smart chemistry and our scientific team has built do the hard work within the assay itself. But the sampling is meant to be super simple and easy.
Now, business leaders say that coronavirus-related absences are growing exponentially, and that has a big impact on productivity and profit. So do you sense a step change towards personal and corporate responsibility when it comes to COVID testing to avoid workplace disruptions as cases rise?
100%. I think actually almost a part of this near future of work is biosecurity. Biosecurity matters, and offering biosecurity to your team that's on site or guests that come on site is starting to become incredibly important for businesses for a whole host of reasons, whether it's being ultra competitive in the market and wanting to have a more productive workforce, i.e. one that is, potentially either reassured about the safety of coming into the office or more practically potentially isolated from, the pingdemic that potentially we're seeing. But also next to that, certainly in the UK, and we're going to see this across the world, as the pandemic moves into an endemic challenge that we will see globally, we will see collectivist responsibility reign over, say, for example, government-led monoxidants, as the level of challenge moves out of public health and ensuring hospitals don't collapse and into ensuring productivity is retained over time and avoiding the high level of sickness or isolation that we could get if we're not able to use all the weapons in the armory. Vaccine is a solution, but it's more of a wider public health macro solution. Testing can be deployed as a microcosm solution within closed or semi-closed or even open environments where you have a known population coming in and can support biosecurity strategies to keep workforces more productive.